In the Middle East, a military strike that many feared was imminent has reportedly been put on hold. President Trump says he has called off planned strikes on Iran for now because serious negotiations are underway. That single decision may have just changed the trajectory of a region already on edge. Looking forward, there are several potential scenarios that could unfold from this critical juncture in U.S.-Iran relations. The first and most optimistic scenario is that negotiations successfully lead to a temporary deal or de-escalation. In this case, Iran might make some concessions regarding its nuclear program, prompting the U.S. to ease economic sanctions and avoid military action for the time being. Such a development could pave the way for renewed diplomatic efforts and possibly restore some confidence in international relations, which have been strained since the U.S. withdrew from the nuclear agreement in 2018. The second scenario involves a breakdown of talks, leading to increased hostilities. Historical context reveals that previous negotiations have often faltered, leaving both nations at odds. If both sides perceive that they have nothing to gain from negotiations, we could see a rapid escalation in military actions, resulting in strikes and retaliation. This would likely drag regional allies into the conflict, destabilizing an already volatile Middle East and affecting global oil markets and security. The third scenario, which is perhaps the most concerning, is one where both sides maintain a tense stalemate, continuing to threaten military action without actual engagement. This prolonged uncertainty could lead to increased military deployments in the region and a heightened risk of accidental confrontations, creating a dangerous atmosphere. Experts urge that in the coming days, all eyes should be on the diplomatic channels, particularly the responses from both the U.S. and Iran regarding the ongoing negotiations. The critical question remains: will both sides prioritize diplomacy over aggression, or are we on the verge of a much larger crisis that could reshape geopolitical alliances and fuel further conflict? As the situation develops, the focus will be on how both nations navigate these complex dynamics in the quest for stability. To understand the current crisis, it is crucial to look back at the historical context of U.S.-Iran relations, which have been marred by decades of hostility. The roots of this animosity trace back to the Iranian Revolution of 1979, when the U.S. Embassy was taken over and diplomatic ties were severed. This event marked a significant turning point, leading to a long-standing mistrust characterized by sanctions, military threats, and proxy conflicts across the Middle East. The issue of Iran's nuclear ambitions became a central flashpoint in the early 2000s, leading to heightened tensions and international scrutiny. The 2015 nuclear deal, known as the JCPOA, temporarily eased some of these tensions, but ultimately unraveled following the U.S. withdrawal in 2018, which many experts view as a pivotal error in diplomatic strategy. This withdrawal reignited hostilities and led to a series of confrontations, including attacks on international shipping routes and military assets in the Gulf region. The situation has further deteriorated, with Iran's continued development of its nuclear program and its involvement in regional conflicts through proxy groups in Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. Each failed diplomatic effort brings both nations closer to the brink of war, as the escalation of military threats has become almost cyclical. Trump's decision to plan strikes against Iran was not merely a routine military maneuver, but part of a larger pattern of rising tensions. The impact of this ongoing conflict is profound, affecting not only regional stability, but also global oil markets and international alliances. As both nations remain entrenched in their positions, the outlook shows a precarious balance. The potential for negotiation exists, but demands bold leadership from both sides. Moving forward, renewed diplomatic efforts will be essential to prevent a catastrophic escalation that could reshape the geopolitical landscape. Trump's decision to pause military action against Iran is a significant moment in U.S. foreign policy, reflecting a careful assessment of the intricate dynamics at play. This pause is not merely a tactical maneuver. It signifies a deeper understanding of the volatile geopolitical environment in the Middle East. The region has long been a flashpoint for conflict, with Iran's influence extending through various proxy groups across several countries. The potential for a U.S. military strike against Iran raises critical questions about regional stability and the balance of power among neighboring states. Retaliation from Iranian-backed militias poses a serious threat to U.S. forces stationed in the region. Such attacks could escalate tensions and draw the United States deeper into a conflict that has already claimed countless lives. Israel, a key U.S. ally, also remains on high alert, as any military engagement could create a wider regional war, further destabilizing an already fragile security landscape. Economically, the stakes are equally high. A conflict with Iran could severely disrupt global oil markets, impacting everything from transportation costs to the prices of consumer goods. The mere suggestion of military action has already led to fluctuations in oil prices, illustrating how sensitive the markets are to geopolitical tensions. For everyday consumers, rising oil prices could mean higher costs for gas and groceries, directly affecting their financial well-being. Moreover, the humanitarian implications of military action cannot be overlooked. A strike could lead to significant civilian casualties, worsening the already dire humanitarian conditions in Iran. This could fuel anti-American sentiment, complicating any future diplomatic efforts and making it harder to achieve a peaceful resolution. Looking ahead, the next few weeks are crucial. As diplomatic channels remain open, there is an opportunity for dialogue that could prevent escalation. The outcome of these negotiations will be pivotal in shaping the future of U.S.-Iran relations. With the potential for significant consequences, both regionally and globally, the decisions made in the near term will have lasting impacts on international stability and security. The focus now shifts to whether diplomatic efforts can successfully avert military confrontation. In a significant move, President Trump announced this morning that he has called off planned military strikes against Iran, which were scheduled for today, May 19, 2026. This decision marks a critical pivot in U.S.-Iran relations, coming just hours before the strikes were set to occur. Trump's announcement came during a press briefing at 9 a.m. EDT, where he emphasized the importance of pursuing serious negotiations instead. Concurrently, Iranian officials indicated that they had responded to recent U.S. proposals through Pakistani mediators, hinting at ongoing back-channel diplomacy. This development is particularly noteworthy as it suggests that both nations are exploring dialogue rather than immediate military confrontation. The proposed strikes were a response to escalating tensions following Iran's increased uranium enrichment activities, which have raised alarms among international observers and nuclear watchdogs alike. Analysts had warned that military action could destabilize the already volatile Middle East region, potentially drawing in U.S. allies and adversaries, such as Russia and China. The decision to halt strikes should not be interpreted as a cessation of military threats. Rather, it signals a moment of tension, characterized by a precarious balance between diplomatic engagement and the ever-present risk of escalation. The dynamics of this situation are intensified by the fact that just last week, U.S. military assets in the region had been put on high alert, indicating a readiness for conflict. The planned strikes were anticipated to target specific military sites in Iran, aimed at deterring its nuclear ambitions. This pause, therefore, is not a return to peace, but rather a narrow diplomatic opening, fraught with the potential for renewed conflict if negotiations falter. As both nations navigate this complex landscape, the impact of this decision could reverberate beyond their borders, influencing global oil markets and international security alliances. The outlook remains uncertain, with many experts suggesting that any diplomatic breakthrough will require significant concessions from both sides. In the coming days, the focus will be on whether this momentary reprieve can lead to a more permanent resolution, or if tensions will reignite, potentially destabilizing the region and affecting global economic stability. As we consider these potential outcomes, we must ask ourselves, will the U.S. and Iran find a path to peace, or are we simply delaying the inevitable? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for daily deep dives into global events.